Yo, so Crumb, man, a marvelous and a miserable experience.
Marvelous experience. I remember one time I was pushing my son and he broke down crying, and I kind of just, used that, use myself as a barometer. Anytime my parents would have pushed me or anybody for that matter, and I started to cry, I was like, okay, you've reached that point where you can go no further. And he started crying, so I just kind of let up on him. I'm like, all right, well, we'll live to fight another day. And even at his weakest moment, he was like, no, I'm not done. I'm not done. And at that particular point, I realized that was a man I was dealing with. He made me proud that day to where he was at his lowest point and still wouldn't give up. I'm like, dag, I wish I had some of that. That was marvelous. Miserable. I remember one time me and the kids was out, having a great time, and this mother says to me, I'm so proud of you, and giving me glory and so on and so forth. But after a while, I realized she was comparing me to the lowest of the low. And, I told her, I said, I don't take pride in being compared to the deadbeat dads. Compare me to an Obama, compare me to a Mandela, don't compare me to the junkie across the street and then give me accolades based off that. So, I was a little bit discouraged based on, like, okay, the standard is not deadbeat dad. So to see a man with his child should not be a shocker. So, that was really something that bothered me in terms of a miserable moment in fatherhood.
Question, was it a white woman?
I can't really remember who or what the woman looked like, but it just, in hindsight, I'm like, hold on. The only reason she was impressed is because, she's operating based off the assumption that, the majority of our men are no good.
Or absent. And
right. Like, come on, man. Stop the cliche stereotypes.
Oh, really? We're going to do that today?
Wow. Chef Ponder, man, tell us about a marvelous and a miserable experience you've had as a father.
I would say a marvelous experience would be the time I got to see my son born. We just had pulled out for deployment, and he was due like weeks after we had pulled out, and the admiral came in there in the kitchen and asked if I wanted to go home and see that happen. And I flew back, and the day I landed was the day he was born. Like it all worked out perfectly to see that. So that was one of the most, I think, proud moments. I would say a miserable moment. When I was out without a job for a while, and I had to take a job down in Hawaii for a 5-month contract, and being away from my kids that long was pretty miserable. But I had to go do what I had to do, for the money situation. And it just really sucked. I had to go do that. It was like no other option. So those are my two.
Wow. Ed, we had a horrible connection earlier. Can you give yours again?
Oh, I said my most miserable was ushering them through middle school. Because I was teaching middle school, I was like, I can't have the same kind of urchin in my house. I said, I can't teach them during the day and then have them at home. And it was that moment of, look, if you act as bad as they do, you're going to die. You're really going to die. But I think the most remarkable moment as a father is watching your kids get it. I know for me as an educator, to see my kids doing well and to see them get it and to actually have them verbalize to me, and in those moments where they're verbalizing, you know what, you were right, and to give you your glory while you can give you your roses while you can smell them, and just to watch my kids just succeed and keep pushing, and watching I guess for me, that work ethic, the same work ethic my father gave me, in watching them, like I said, and actually the proudest moment for me is watching my son be a father to his son.
Wow.
It is. It's the most amazing thing to me ever. And to have that little sucker call, hey, Papa, where? He always wants to know where the damn dog is, but he can't call me grandpa. I'm not here for that, any of that. But
Good stuff. Good stuff. At the end of our conversation last week, Dan Trez Omi and Brother Crumb here started a nice conversation dealing with fixing some of the problems we're having in fatherhood. And, you know, Dan Trez Omi was saying things like, we need to step up, we need to be evolved. And Crumb was saying, we can't step up, we don't have stairs. There's some structural things, there's some systematic things that are in place. And I wanted to really continue that conversation right now. So why don't we start off with you, Crumb, because I know you had a lot to say and we kind of shut you down a little bit last time. Unmute yourself, but yeah, you were saying pretty much, you know, we can't pull ourselves up by our bootstraps because we don't have boots. And that was, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that was a response that I quoted from Martin Luther King when someone approached him with the, why don't you guys just pull yourself up by your bootstraps? And it was like, okay, we don't have any boots. So, you know, we have some fundamental issues. When we're seeing our women, they're going to have several different institutional support systems. She's going to have TANF, she's going to have HUD, she's going to have food stamps, she's going to have, you know, public assistance, so on and so forth. We're not going to see those open arms of support in terms of our men. So if we as a community really want our men to step up, we're going to have to get behind them.
Is that so very different from what you were saying, Dan Trez?
I just want to say that I never said anything that's diametrically opposed to anything that Crumb was saying. I didn't even say that, oh, this is the solution that's going to fix our community. I just asked for one simple thing for brothers to step up. That's all I asked. I wasn't saying that that's going to fix all our problems, it's going to get Trump out of office, anything like that. I was just saying, you know, that being said, when I was a young father, I remember, shout out to Askia Muhammad for this one. Shout out to that brother. And I don't know if he still works for this organization, but I know that every state has one. It's called the Fatherhood Initiative. And I know there's one in Virginia, there's one here in Ohio. And I'm actually going to go through a 15-week course with them. And pretty much what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be setting up workshops, you know, helping fathers really learn how to parent. And the Fatherhood Initiative, they do everything from, you know, teach parenting classes, get legal services, free legal services for gentlemen that need that. And they even have a program for returning citizens. And returning citizens is the actual term for people that are coming out of jail. So you know, and they cover pretty much the gamut. So and most counties actually have like a program within the county where you can actually go and take classes and things of that nature. So I know that that's always happened. And I know, again, I know that I was part of the Imani. I'm still a part of the Imani Foundation, even though I'm not there physically present. But I also help, you know, I'm also on the African Elders Council here in Dayton, Ohio. So we try to do as much as we can when it comes to mentoring young people. And I know I spent pretty much most of my life mentoring young people on top of being an educator. So, and I'm not trying to get anybody's experience, but I've always had support. Like I've always had support, whether it's formal or informal, mostly informal, mostly from my elders in my community. A lot of it was informal, but I know, you know, the way I was raised, I know that parenting is a communal thing. It's not something that two people do. It's not something that one person does. It's something that you do as a community. You cannot do it on your own. You cannot do it with just you and your partner. It has to be something that's community. But I just wanted to point that out. I wasn't diametrically opposed to anything Crumb was saying, because I do think there is a system that actually, you know, puts us, you know, enslaves us, you know, whether mentally, physically, economically. Hardcore, I agree with that.
Good stuff. Now you brought up the fact that it's not a, you know, single thing or a two-parent thing. It's a village thing. It's a communal thing, and you always felt supported. So yeah. Dan Trez has always felt supported. Ed, have you always felt supported? Crumb, have you always felt supported in your fatherhood experience? And Ponder, have you always felt supported?
Let me just answer that really quickly, and I'm gonna pass the talking stick. You know, us as a people, that is the issue with us. We are very individual, and we do not think collectively. There were black slave masters during slavery. That doesn't mean the average slave could become a slave master. If you have a particular individual experience that has nothing to do with the collective experience of our people, sure, I may have met a great white guy, but collectively, that has nothing to do with anything in the world. We must get away from an individual aspect and operate with the understanding of the collective. You had a great experience. Fine, that means nothing. It means nothing. In addition, that's what the beast is going to use to make an excuse. Malcolm X said the same thing. Malcolm X spoke the collective, and every time they sent somebody to attack him, it was a person who had an individual experience and tried to use the exception to negate the overall rule.